Hey guys, today we are making keto chili, and because it is keto, it does not have any beans in it, but this is a very simple recipe, and it's very easy to make, it's very quick. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make it in the crock pot, but it's very easy for you to make this in your Instapot and also on the stovetop, and it's really simple no matter which way you go with it. So let's go ahead and get into this video. But before we do, if you are new here and you like keto recipes or low carb recipes, please make sure that you do hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you can be updated every time we drop a video. And if you thought this video was helpful, at the end of the video, if you could please give it a thumbs up, as that really does help my channel. So now let's go ahead and get started on making this chili. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is add in about a tablespoon of oil. I'm using olive oil, but you can use whatever oil you normally use. And what we're doing today, since this recipe doesn't have any beans in it, we are doubling up on the meat. You can either do 2 pounds of ground beef, or I'm doing in today's video 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of stew meat. I tried this just recently and I really like it because it seems like it's more filling to have the stew meat. So give it a try. Either way you do it, it's fine. So we're going to add in our onion to the skillet. I am using half of a really large onion. So you can use half of a large onion or 1 medium onion. You can use however much onion that you want. It's totally up to you. If you don't like that much, don't put that much. If you want a lot, put a lot. So we're just going to go ahead and let that cook for a little bit and move on to the next step. Alright, so now we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. It's actually 1 heaping tablespoon because I really like garlic a lot. So you don't have to put that much. If you don't really care for garlic that much, you can put a little bit less. But that's what I'm putting in. And right now I'm just going to cook it until it's fragrant. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes, and then we can add our meat. Alright, so now the garlic is fragrant. We can go ahead and add in our ground beef. So I'm adding here 1 pound of ground beef. If you are just doubling up on your ground beef, then you'll just go ahead and add in 2 pounds of ground beef right now. But like I said, I tried it with the stew meat, and I feel like it actually fills you up a little bit more because it gives that chili like a nice chunky chili. So it's actually not bad. So I thought it was kind of weird at first, but after I tried it, I liked it. So that's how I'm going to make my keto chili from now on. Unless I don't have the stew meat, then, I've also made it with 2 pounds of ground beef, and both of them are good. So let's go ahead and let this meat cook, and then we'll come back for the next step. And then I'm also going to put some salt and pepper, just salt and pepper to taste on my ground beef. And I know that we're putting seasonings in the chili also, but I still like to season my meat too with salt and pepper. So just watch how much you season it, because you are going to be also adding seasonings to the chili. So let's let this finish cooking, and then we'll move on to the stew meat. Alright, and it looks like our ground beef is done, and if you drain your meat normally, then right now would be the time to do that. If you don't, then don't. Just set it aside. Everybody does it differently, so whatever way you normally do it that way. So I do drain mine, so I am just having it drain right now, and then I'm just going to set it to the side, and then we're just going to use the same pan to go and move on with the stew meat. Alright, so let's cook our stew meat. I'm going to add in just a little bit more oil for the meat. And, yeah, so once that gets hot, let's add in our stew meat. And I went ahead and got the stew meat, and I cut them in little bite-sized pieces. You can make them as big or as little as you want. But I did cut them into like little 1-inch pieces. So, just going to go ahead and add that to the pan. cook these, and we will go ahead and set those aside for a minute too. Alright, and then I'm also going to just add a little salt and pepper to taste here as well. I like to season it directly to the meat, even though we're going to add seasonings into the crock pot. I still like to put it directly onto the meat. So let's go ahead and let this cook, and then we will move on to the next step. Alright, so it looks like this meat is about done, so we're just going to go ahead and set this meat to the side, and then we're pretty much ready to, start adding up all of our stuff to the crock pot. So the hard part is pretty much over right now, so let's move on to the next step and adding everything to the crock pot. Alright, so let's start off by setting our crock pot to low. And we're going to let that cook for 6 to 8 hours. If you do need to cook this on high, it's going to be about 3 to 4 hours on high. Or you can do it on your stovetop as well. I just really like it in the crock pot because I don't really have to worry about it or anything for the rest of the day. And with the stew meat especially, if it cooks longer, the meat gets more tender, and I really like it like that. So do it any way that you would normally cook your chili. So we're going to start off by adding our meat into the crock pot, and then we're just going to add in the rest of our ingredients. Alright, and let's add in our ground beef. Alright, and I'm just going to go ahead and just give it up a little mix just to kind of get the meat mixed up. You don't really have to do it if you're using 2 pounds of ground beef, but I just want to get it all mixed up. So right now we're going to add in 1 can of, I'm using Rotel. You can use green chilies and diced tomatoes, however you normally use them. And I'm also going to add in 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And right now I'm putting in about 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then I'm just going to mix it in just to get the tomato sauce and everything well combined with the meat. Okay, and now to this, I'm going to add in 2 cups of beef broth. Alright, now it's time for some seasonings. So to this chili, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of chili powder. And I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of cumin. You can use those chili packets if you want to, but they do have sugar in them. If that fits into your macros, go ahead and use that. But if you're not using a packet, then you can do it this way. And I'm also going to add in 1 teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of garlic powder. And then right here I have 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm using pink Himalayan salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And then just mix that up. Make sure the seasonings get all over the meat. Alright, and then we're going to add in 2 bay leaves to our chili, and we're also going to add in a tiny piece of a cinnamon stick. This is literally like a little 3-inch of that piece of cinnamon stick, so you're not going to need that much, so it's really just a tiny piece to break off of that. I'm also going to add in 2 tablespoons of sweetener. You can use any kind of keto sweetener that you want. I use Monkfruit, and this is actually the Monkfruit Golden, so it's like a brown sugar replacement. Any sweetener will work. That's just the one that I prefer. And we're also going to add in the juice from a 1/4 of a lemon. So 1/4 of a lemon. We're just going to squeeze some lemon juice in there. Alright, and then here I have 1/2 cup of diced bell peppers, and I'm also going to add in 2 diced jalapenos. And last but not least, we're going to add in 1/4 cup of some chopped fresh cilantro. And just go ahead and mix that in. And then we're pretty much ready to just let the crock pot do its thing for the rest of the day. Just make sure that you mix it all up. And like I said, you're just going to let it cook on low for 6 to 8 hours. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have not yet and you like keto or low carb recipes, please make sure that you do hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.